Good morning. Let me ask you a question to begin our time together today. It is a question I have pondered for most of my adult life, a question that has driven me through thousands of books, hundreds of seminars, and countless conversations with people from every walk of life. Have you ever stood at the shore of a great ocean, watching the tide? It comes in and it goes out. It is relentless, predictable, and upon that ocean you see ships. Some are magnificent yachts, sails full, cutting through the water with grace and purpose, heading toward a distant, beautiful horizon. Others are small, battered vessels, seemingly at the mercy of every wave, being pushed toward the rocks, their sails torn, their direction lost. And the question is this: what makes the difference? The wind blows on them all. The tide pulls on them all. The sun shines and the storms rage on them all. The ocean, you see, is impartial. Life is impartial. The circumstances that we face, the economy, the political climate, the unforeseen challenges, the strokes of luck, these are the winds and the tides. They are constants. They affect every single one of us. So if the external conditions are largely the same for everyone, what is the great dividing line between the person who lives a life of quiet desperation and the person who crafts a life that can only be described as a masterpiece? What is the difference between the ship that reaches its harbor and the one that is lost at sea? Now, the easy answers are the ones we hear every day. We are taught to look for the difference in the tangible, the visible. Some will tell you the difference is luck. They say some people are just born under a lucky star. They happen to be in the right place at the right time. But I have found that luck is a very poor architect for a life of substance. Luck is a random gust of wind. It might push you forward for a moment, but it can never be relied upon to take you to a chosen destination. The person who depends on luck is the person who has given up the helm of their own ship. They have become a passenger in their own life. Others will tell you the difference is talent, that some are simply born with more innate ability, more intelligence, more charisma. And while talent is a wonderful gift, I have seen more talent wasted than I have seen it utilized. I have seen brilliant individuals with extraordinary gifts who are living lives far below their potential, while I have seen people of modest talent build empires. Talent is a starting point, but it is not the journey. Talent is the raw marble, it is not the sculpture. The world is full of talented derelicts. No, talent alone is not the answer. And of course, many will tell you the difference is background. Your family, where you went to school, the money you were born into. They will point to circumstance as the ultimate arbiter of fate. But history is filled with remarkable stories of men and women who rose from the most humble of beginnings to achieve the extraordinary. And it is also filled with stories of those who were given every advantage, every privilege, only to squander it. The soil you are planted in does not have to determine the height you will grow. So if it is not luck, not talent, not background, what is it? After many years of intense study, of searching and observing, I have come to a simple yet profound conclusion. The major difference, the one variable that changes everything, lies in a single discipline. It is your personal philosophy. That is the great secret. That is the dividing line. Your personal philosophy is the set of your sail. Let me repeat that, because this may be one of the most important ideas we discuss today. The winds of circumstance, of economy, of challenge, of opportunity, they blow on us all. It is the same wind. The difference in arrival at a chosen destination is not the blowing of the wind, but the set of the sail. Your philosophy is how you think. It is the collection of everything you know and the wisdom to know how to use it. It is the filter through which you process the world. When adversity strikes, and it will, your philosophy determines whether you see it as a devastating storm or as a powerful wind that can be harnessed. When opportunity appears, and it will, your philosophy determines whether you see it as a fleeting chance or as a predictable result of your consistent efforts. How does one build a powerful, effective, personal philosophy? It does not come from formal education alone. You can have a dozen degrees and still have a poor philosophy. Formal education will make you a living, which is fine, but self-education, the diligent, lifelong process of gathering knowledge and wisdom, will make you a fortune. You build your philosophy from the books you choose to read. What is on your nightstand? Is it gathering dust? The book you don't read won't help you. You build your philosophy from the people you choose to associate with. Are your conversations lifting you up or pulling you down? Are you discussing ideas and possibilities, or are you gossiping about people and problems? Every conversation is either an investment in your future or a tax on it. You build your philosophy from the thoughts you allow to occupy your mind. Your mind is like a garden. You can either cultivate it, planting the seeds of greatness, of discipline, of positivity, or you can let it be, and the weeds of doubt, fear, and negativity will take over by default. Weeds do not require any effort. Over the next few hours, we are not here to talk about tricks or shortcuts. We are not here to discuss the latest fads in motivation. Those are like candy. They give you a quick burst of energy, but they will not sustain you through the winters of life. We are here to talk about the fundamental principles that govern success and happiness, the timeless laws. We are here to become architects. I want you to think about that word for a moment. Architect. An architect does not simply throw some materials together and hope for a building. That is not how a masterpiece is created. An architect first develops a vision, a blueprint. They must understand the laws of physics, the principles of engineering, the nature of the materials they are working with. They must be disciplined, meticulous, intentional. You, my friends, are the architect of your life. Every day, with every choice, every thought, and every word, you are drawing the blueprint. You are laying the foundation. You are building the structure. The question is, are you building a magnificent cathedral, or are you building a shack that will be blown over by the first strong wind? The ideas we will discuss today are built upon a central theme, a powerful philosophy that you must adopt if you wish to see real change in your life. And it is this: your life does not get better by chance, it gets better by change. Change by chance is the lottery ticket philosophy. It is the hope that some external event will come and rescue you. It is a passive, weak approach to life, and it is a tragedy. Change by design, however, that is where the power is. That is the architect's philosophy. It is the conscious, deliberate decision to become the person you need to be to attract the success you desire. And that change, that design work, begins within. It begins in the invisible world of your mind. It begins with the words you allow to take root and the words you choose to speak into the world. To guide our work today, to give structure to our architecture, we will journey through three major pillars. I want you to write these down. This is our blueprint for our time together. The first is the foundation, the inner dialogue of power. This is where it all begins. A skyscraper is only as strong as its foundation. We will go deep into the silent conversations you have with yourself. We will learn how to tear out the weeds of self-doubt and eliminate the weak, hesitant language that has been holding you back. We will learn to build a foundation of unshakable certainty. The second pillar is the framework, the outer communication of influence. Once your foundation is solid, we will build the visible structure. This is how you project your inner certainty into the world, how you speak to others. We will explore the language of leadership, the art of speaking about solutions instead of problems, and how to turn every single conversation into an opportunity for growth and influence. And the third pillar, our final piece of the architecture, is the blueprint, the visionary language of your future. This is the grand design. This is where we learn to use our words not just to describe our current reality, but to create our future reality. We will learn how to think bigger than we ever have before, and how to speak about our goals as if they are already an accomplished fact, pulling our future success into our present moment. Foundation, framework, blueprint. So, I invite you now to take out your journals. Open to a fresh page. The ideas I am about to share with you are not for mere entertainment. They are not for passive listening. They are for study, for application, for transformation. The price of admission for this journey is not money. It is your focused attention. It is your willingness to be challenged. It is your decision right now to engage. This is not a lecture. This is a workshop on the rest of your life. Let us begin. All right, we have laid the plans. We have agreed upon the blueprint, foundation, framework, blueprint. So let us begin with the most fundamental work of all, the work that must be done before any structure can be erected. We must clear the land. We must prepare the ground. And on the plot of land that is your mind, for many, there is a persistent, insidious weed that has been allowed to grow for far too long. This weed has choked more dreams, starved more ambitions, and paralyzed more potential than any other force I know. It is the silent thief that steals your future while you sleep. We are talking about self-doubt. Now, self-doubt is a fascinating enemy. It does not arrive with a roar. It does not knock down your door like a conquering army. No, its methods are far more subtle, far more dangerous. It comes as a whisper, a quiet suggestion in the back of your mind as you are about to make that important phone call. Are you sure you're ready? Maybe you should prepare a little more. It comes as a question when you are presented with a new opportunity. What if you fail? What will they think of you? Remember what happened last time? It comes as a comparison when you see someone else's success. See, they have something you don't. You'll never be at that level. These are not attacks, they are suggestions. They are seeds. And if you are not vigilant, if you do not guard the garden of your mind with absolute discipline, these seeds will take root. And once they take root, they begin to grow. And as they grow, they begin to influence your language. You see, your inner world and your outer world are connected by a bridge. And that bridge is your vocabulary. The doubt that begins inside eventually finds its way out through the words you speak. And the words you speak, in turn, reinforce the doubt inside. It is a vicious, self-perpetuating cycle. It is a form of tyranny. A tyranny of weak words that holds your potential hostage. So today, right now, we declare our independence. We begin the revolution. And the first act of this revolution is to identify the language of defeat and systematically eliminate it from our lives. We will perform a vocabulary audit, and we will start with one of the most poisonous words in the English language. That word is try. I want you to consider this word. I'll try to get to the gym. I'll try to finish the report. I'll try to be a better father. What does this word really mean? Try is the great escape clause. It is the most sophisticated excuse ever invented for not doing something. It is the sound of a person who is not fully committed. It is a pre-packaged apology for future failure. When you say, I'll try, you are telling your subconscious mind, I am preparing to fail. I am giving myself permission to not follow through. A winner, a person of action, a person building a masterpiece life does not use this word. They understand its corrosive power. They replace it with two of the most powerful words in the language. I will feel the difference. I will go to the gym. I will finish this report. I will be a better father. There is no ambiguity. There is no room for excuses. It is a command. It is a promise. It is a declaration of your intent. When you say I will, you are telling your mind, your spirit, and the world that the outcome is not up for debate. It is a done deal. You have committed. Your first assignment in this revolution is to become allergic to the word try. For the next 30 days, I want you to banish it from your vocabulary. Listen for it in your own speech. When it slips out, I want you to physically stop. Correct yourself out loud. If you say, I'll try to call that client back, I want you to stop and say, no. I will call that client back. This simple act of correction is you, the architect, taking control of your tools. It is the beginning of discipline. But the tyranny of weak words does not stop with try. There are other more subtle traitors in our vocabulary. Consider the word hope. I hope I get the promotion. I hope things work out. Hope is not a strategy. Hope is a beggar. Hope is the passive wishing that external forces will conspire in your favor. But the architect does not hope the building stands. The architect ensures it stands through sound design and solid principles. You must replace the weakness of hope with the power of determination. I am determined to earn that promotion. I am determined to see this through. Determination is an internal force. It is independent of the weather. It does not care about the opinions of the crowd. Determination says, I don't care what obstacles arise. I don't care how long it takes. I have made the decision, and I will adjust my approach until the goal is achieved. Hope is for the passenger. Determination is for the pilot. Let's look at another set of weak words. Maybe, perhaps, I'm not sure. This is the language of indecision. And indecision is the thief of opportunity. When you use these words, you are communicating uncertainty. And if you are not certain, how can you expect anyone to follow you? How can you expect your own mind to take your goals seriously? The person who says, maybe I'll start that business, will likely never start it. The person who says, I will launch my business on September 1st, is the person you will see at the grand opening. You must replace the fog of maybe with the clarity of decision. Make a decision. Even if it's the wrong one, a decision gives you movement. And with movement, you get feedback. You can adjust a moving ship. You cannot steer a parked car. Now, let's turn our attention inward to the full sentences, the internal scripts that run in our minds on a loop. This is where the real deep cleaning must occur. One of the most destructive phrases we tell ourselves is, I can't. I can't afford that. I can't start a business. I don't have the time. I can't lose the weight. The phrase, I can't, is a brick wall. It is a dead end. It is a self-imposed prison sentence. The moment you say, I can't, your brain stops working. It stops looking for solutions because you have given it a command that the problem is unsolvable. Here is the revolutionary shift. You must replace the brick wall of I can't with the open door of how can I. The moment you ask, how can I, your mind is activated. It becomes a creative engine. It starts searching for answers, for strategies, for possibilities. I can't afford that becomes how can I afford that. Now your mind starts thinking, could I work an extra hour a day? Could I sell something I no longer need? Could I develop a new skill that would increase my income? The question itself unlocks your potential. I can't start a business because I have no time becomes how can I find the time to start my business? Could I wake up an hour earlier? Could I eliminate watching television? Could I use my lunch break more productively? Asking how can I is the language of a resourceful person. And I promise you, resourcefulness is far more valuable than resources. When you change this one question, you change your entire approach to life's challenges. You move from being a victim of circumstance to being a master of creation. This is the hard work. This is the foundational work of the architect. It is you, in the quiet moments, choosing to rewrite the scripts that have been running your life. It is the conscious, deliberate act of choosing words that build instead of words that demolish. So, how do we make this practical? We have discussed the vocabulary audit. Banish, try, replace hope with determination, replace maybe with decision. The next step is to identify your most common negative self-talk, the one or two sentences that your inner critic loves to repeat. Write them down. And next to them, I want you to write a new, powerful, opposing declaration. If your script is, I'm not good enough, your new declaration is, I am constantly growing and becoming more capable every single day. If your script is, I always mess things up, your new declaration is, my past is not my future, every experience is a lesson that makes me stronger. And then, you must practice these new declarations. You must say them with conviction. You must say them in the morning when you wake up. You must say them at night before you sleep. You must say them when the old whisper of doubt tries to creep back in. You are replacing an old, worn-out mental habit with a new, powerful one. This is not about lying to yourself. This is about speaking your potential into existence. It is about defining yourself not by where you have been, but by where you are committed to going. When you remove the poison of self-doubt and the tyranny of weak words, something remarkable happens. You create a space, a void. You have cleared the land. It is now fertile ground ready for something new to be planted. But you cannot leave this ground empty, for if you do, the old weeds will surely return. Nature abhors a vacuum. You must now consciously, deliberately plant new seeds in this fertile ground. You must begin to build something powerful and permanent in the place where the weeds of doubt once grew. And that is what we will do next. We will take this cleared ground and we will begin to lay the foundation of the fortress that will protect your mind for the rest of your life. A fortress called unshakable certainty. So, We have done the difficult work. We have waged a revolution against the internal tyranny of weak words. We have faced the insidious thief of self-doubt and declared that it no longer has a place on our property. We have cleared the land, and now we stand on fresh, fertile ground. The weeds have been pulled, the poison has been neutralized, but we are faced with a new and critical challenge. We cannot leave this ground empty. For if we do, I promise you, the old weeds will return. Nature abhors a vacuum, and the mind that is not deliberately cultivated will soon be overgrown once more. So we must now begin to build. We are architects, remember? And on this cleared land, we will not build a temporary shelter. We will build a fortress, a structure so solid, so deeply rooted, so intelligently designed that the winds of doubt, the storms of adversity, and the whispers of negativity can never again find a crack to enter. This fortress is called unshakable certainty. Now, let us be very clear about what we are building. Unshakable certainty is not arrogance. Arrogance is the loud, obnoxious cousin of insecurity. Arrogance needs to announce itself, to boast, to put others down, to feel tall. It is a house of cards. Certainty is different. Certainty is quiet. It is a calm internal resolve. It is a deep, abiding faith, not in being right all the time, but in your ability to handle things when they go wrong. It is the inner knowing that whatever the world throws at you, you possess the resilience, the resourcefulness, and the strength to endure, to adapt, and to ultimately prevail. Arrogance is a mask. Certainty is a muscle. And like any muscle, it is not a gift. It is not something you are born with. It is built, it is developed through deliberate, consistent, disciplined effort. It is earned. So, how do we build it? How do we, as the architects of our lives, construct this inner fortress? A well-built fortress stands on strong pillars. And the fortress of unshakable certainty stands upon three great pillars. I want you to write these down. Pillar number one, the pillar of preparation. Pillar number two, the pillar of proof. Pillar number three, the pillar of purpose. Preparation, proof, and purpose. Let us examine each of these, for they are the bedrock of the life you wish to build. Let us first speak of the pillar of preparation. Confidence that is not earned is a fraud. It is mere posturing. True, deep, unshakable certainty is the natural byproduct of diligent, exhaustive preparation. You have no right to be confident if you have not done the work. Preparation is a discipline born of respect. It is respect for your craft. It is respect for your client or your audience. It is respect for the opportunity. And most importantly, it is respect for yourself. The person who shows up unprepared is essentially saying, my time is more valuable than this outcome. I am hoping for a lucky break. The winter understands the old law, the law of the harvest. You cannot reap in the fall what you did not sow in the spring. Preparation is the sowing. Every hour you spend studying, practicing, refining your skills, you are planting seeds. And the harvest you reap from those seeds is certainty. When you have studied your subject 5 times longer than you are scheduled to speak on it, a certain calm comes over you. When you have rehearsed your presentation until it is a part of your very being, a certain authority enters your voice. When you know your product, your market, and your competition better than anyone else in the room, a certain power enters your posture. This is not magic. This is the predictable result of a cause. The cause is preparation. The effect is certainty. So what does it mean to prepare? Let us break it down, for it is a multifaceted discipline. There is, first, intellectual preparation. This is the study. This is the library. This is the commitment to becoming a student for life. Do not just read the book, study it. Take notes in the margins. Discuss its ideas with someone intelligent. The goal is not to accumulate information, but to gain understanding. The person who knows how will always have a job. The person who knows why will always be their boss. Intellectual preparation is the diligent pursuit of why. Then there is physical preparation. How can you expect to have a mind of steel if you are housing it in a body of straw? Your physical vitality is the platform for your mental acuity. The discipline of proper nutrition, of regular exercise, of adequate rest. This is not a luxury. For the person who seeks to build an extraordinary life, it is a non-negotiable requirement. Your energy level affects your confidence. Your physical strength affects your mental resilience. To be prepared for the challenges of the day, you must first prepare the vessel that will carry you through them. Finally, and perhaps most profoundly, there is emotional preparation. This is the work of the true professional. It is one thing to be prepared for the presentation. It is another to be prepared for the tough question you did not anticipate. It is one thing to be prepared for the sale. It is another to be prepared for the rejection. Emotional preparation is the art of mental rehearsal. You must see yourself performing successfully, but you must also see yourself encountering a challenge and responding with grace, with calm, with intelligence. See the objection, hear the no, feel the moment of frustration, and then rehearse your powerful, composed, and effective response. When you have prepared for the storm in the calm of your mind, you will not be surprised when it arrives. You will be ready. This is the first pillar. Earn your confidence through relentless, multifaceted preparation. The second pillar upon which our fortress stands is the pillar of proof. You can listen to me all day. You can listen to the most inspiring speakers in the world. But at the end of the day, the voice you believe above all others is your own. The evidence you trust most implicitly is your own. You must build a personal history of success. You must accumulate a mountain of evidence so large and so compelling that even on your darkest days, the voice of doubt cannot argue with the fact. You must become the most effective lawyer in your own courtroom, presenting an undeniable case for your own competence. How do we do this? We do it through a strategy I call promise stacking. It begins small. Do not start by promising yourself you will build $1 million business by next year. The subconscious mind is too smart for that. It will reject a goal so large it feels impossible. You must start by building a track record of integrity with yourself. Start with a simple promise. A promise you know you can keep. Tomorrow I will wake up at 6 a.m., no snooze button. And then you do it. That is the first brick. You have kept your word to yourself. The next day, you make another small promise. Today, I will read 10 pages of a good book. And you do it. That is the second brick. You are stacking your promises. This week, I will go to the gym 3 times, and you do it. More bricks. This month, I will save $100, and you do it. The wall gets higher. Do you see what is happening? With every kept promise, no matter how small, you are providing your subconscious mind with proof. You are proving through action that you are a person who does what they say they will do. You are building self-trust. And self-trust is the currency of certainty. To make this practical, you must become the curator of your own success museum. And your primary tool is a journal. Your journal should not be just a place to record your feelings. It should be your evidence locker. Every single day, write down a win. It does not have to be monumental. I made the phone call I was afraid to make. That is a win. I chose the salad instead of the fries. That is a win. I listened without interrupting. That is a win. Document your victories, because there will come a day when that old whisper of doubt returns. And on that day, you will not argue with it. You will not fight it. You will simply open your journal, your evidence locker, and you will review the facts. You will present the proof of your discipline, your resilience, and your progress. And faced with such overwhelming evidence, the doubt will have no choice but to retreat. And we must also redefine what counts as proof. Even a failure is a form of proof. A failed attempt is not proof of your incompetence. It is proof that you are in the arena. It is proof that you have the courage to try. It is a data point. It is a lesson. The only true failure is the failure to participate. Every attempt, every setback, every lesson learned is another piece of evidence that you are a person of action. And a person of action can build a life of certainty. And this brings us to our third and final pillar, the one that gives meaning to the other two. You can prepare diligently. You can build a mountain of proof. But without this third pillar, your fortress will be a magnificent structure with no one living inside. This is the pillar of purpose, your why. Purpose is the anchor for your certainty. In the midst of the fiercest storms, when your preparation is tested to its limits, when your past proof feels distant and irrelevant, it is your purpose that will hold you firm. It is the unwavering answer to the question, why am I doing this? When you are tired and tempted to quit, your purpose is what gets you out of bed. When you face rejection and ridicule, your purpose is what heals your wounds and gets you back in the fight. When you feel lost and confused, your purpose is the North Star that realigns your course. Certainty in what you are doing is powerful, but certainty in why you are doing it is unstoppable. Now, do not be intimidated by this word, purpose. It does not have to be about saving the world. A powerful purpose can be beautifully simple and intensely personal. Perhaps your purpose is your family, to provide them with a life of opportunity and security that you never had. When you are thinking about giving up, you see their faces, and you keep going. Perhaps your purpose is to master your craft, to become so good at what you do that your work itself is a legacy. Your purpose is the pursuit of excellence. Perhaps your purpose is to solve a specific problem. You see a need, a pain point in the world, and you become obsessed with finding the solution. Your work is not a job, it is a mission. You must define it. You must write it down. You must look at it every single day. A clear purpose makes decisions simple. It acts as a filter. Does this activity serve my purpose? If the answer is no, you do not do it. This is the synergy of the three pillars. Your purpose provides the fuel. Your preparation builds the skill. Your proof builds the belief. With these three pillars firmly in place, you construct an inner fortress of unshakable certainty. And so, as we conclude this section, I want you to reflect. We have journeyed from the empty field of a mind cleared of doubt, and now we have the blueprint for a new structure, a fortress, one built not of stone and mortar, but of something far stronger: preparation, proof, and purpose. This is the foundation upon which your new life will be built. With this inner certainty firmly established, you are now ready for the next stage of the architecture. You are ready to project this inner strength outward. You are ready to build a visible framework. You are ready to develop the art of the outer communication of influence. So, we have done the essential inner work. We have cleared the ground of the weeds of doubt, and upon that cleared land, we have laid the foundation and built the inner fortress of unshakable certainty, a fortress built on the powerful pillars of preparation, proof, and purpose. But a fortress, no matter how strong, is of little use if its inhabitant never emerges. An inner strength that is never applied to the world is a wasted strength. The certainty we have cultivated is not meant for idle admiration. It is meant to be a tool. It is the architect's primary instrument for dealing with the inevitable complexities of life and work. And now we begin the work of the framework. We begin to project that inner power outward. This is where your new foundation is tested. Because I promise you, life will test it. Life will present you with challenges. The winds will blow, the storms will come, projects will go off track, people will disappoint you, plans will fail. This is not a possibility, it is a guarantee. And in every moment of challenge, every moment of adversity, you will come to a fork in the road. A great bifurcation of mindset and language. It is at this fork that destinies are decided. One path is wide, well-traveled, and easy to take. It is the path of the problem. The other path is narrower, requires more discipline, more thought. It is the path of the solution. Your choice of which path to take, which language to speak, will determine whether you become a victim of your circumstances or the master of them. Let us first examine the common path, the path of the problem. On this path live two distinct personalities. I want you to listen carefully, for you have met these people. You may have even been one of them from time to time. The first is the problem historian. This individual is a scholar of misery. They are an expert on what went wrong. They can give you a minute-by-minute account of the disaster. They can write a doctoral thesis on who is to blame. They can recite with perfect memory every mistake that was made, every unfairness that was suffered. They are fluent in the language of blame, of complaint, and of limitation. The language of blame sounds like this. It's the economy's fault. My team dropped the ball. If only my manager had supported me. Blame is the abdication of power. The moment you blame something or someone else, you have given them control of your life. You have made yourself a passenger. The language of complaint sounds like this. I can't believe this is happening to me. This is so difficult, so unfair. Complaint is the language of victimhood. It is a subtle request for sympathy. And while sympathy may feel comforting for a moment, it is a poor currency. It will not build a business. It will not heal a relationship. It will not achieve a goal. It only reinforces a sense of helplessness. And the language of limitation sounds like this. It's impossible. We don't have the resources. There's nothing we can do. This is the language of a closed mind. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy of defeat. The problem historian is an expert in the past. They live there, they analyze it, they lament it, but they never learn the right lessons from it. The second personality on this path is the problem analyst. This one is more sophisticated. The problem analyst doesn't just complain, they study the problem. They hold meetings about the problem. They create charts and graphs illustrating the problem. They can talk for hours with great intelligence about the depth and complexity of the problem. They admire the problem, but they never move beyond it. Both the historian and the analyst are trapped. They are spinning their wheels in the mud of the issue itself. And here is a crucial truth. You cannot solve a problem with the same energy that is focused on admiring it. Why do so many people choose this path? Because it is easy. It requires no responsibility. It requires no creativity. It is a passive response to a challenge. But you are not here to be passive. You are an architect, and an architect must walk the other path, the path of the solution. On this path lives the solution architect. The solution architect is different. When faced with a challenge, they spend perhaps 10% of their energy understanding the reality of the problem. They do not deny it. They do not ignore it. They look at the fact, okay, sales are down 20%, the project is behind schedule, the client is unhappy, acknowledged. But then, immediately, they pivot. They turn their back on the problem and face the future. They shift their entire energy, their entire vocabulary, their entire focus. And they do this by asking a single, powerful, transformative question. The problem historian asks, why did this happen? The victim asks, why is this happening to me? The solution architect asks the master question, what can I do now? I want you to burn this question into your mind. This is perhaps the most powerful question a human being can ask in the face of adversity. Let us dissect it, for every word is a key. First, what, not who. It is not about blame. What is about action? It is about substance. It is a request for a tangible step, a concrete idea. It is an action-oriented word. Second, can I? This is the heart of personal power. Not what can they do, not what can the government do, not what should have been done. What can I do? This question immediately focuses your mind on your circle of influence. It forces you to disregard everything you cannot control and concentrate all your energy on the things you can. This is the definition of taking responsibility. Third, do, a verb, the most powerful part of speech. Not what can I think about, not what can I feel, but what can I do. This word demands action. It is a command to move from a state of passive analysis to a state of active engagement. And finally, now. This is the anchor to the present moment. Not what will I do tomorrow or what could I do next week. Now. This creates urgency. It defeats procrastination. It understands that the only time you have any power is in this present moment. You cannot change the past. The future is shaped by what you do now. What can I do now? This one question is the pivot upon which your entire reality can turn. Let's see it in practice. A business is facing a severe downturn. The problem historian says, the market is terrible. Our competitors are unethical. It's not our fault. The problem analyst holds meetings to analyze the declining sales figures. The solution architect walks into the room and says, the numbers are what they are. The market is what it is. Team, our only question today is this: what can we do now? What is one action we can take today to contact a former client? What is one way we can reduce our expenses by 5% this week? What is one new value we can offer to our existing customers right now? Do you feel the difference? It is a shift from the energy of death to the energy of life. It is a shift from helplessness to power. This is not just for business, it is for everything. A health diagnosis. The problem historian researches the disease for weeks, becoming an expert on all the terrible things that might happen. The solution architect says, okay, that is the diagnosis. What can I do now? What can I change in my diet today? What exercise can I do this morning? Who is the best expert I can speak to this week? The language of solutions is the language of life. It is the language of progress. It is the language of power. So, how do we cultivate this as a discipline? How do we become a solution architect? It follows a clear methodology. First, acknowledge the reality, but do not dwell there. 10% of your time on the problem, 90% on the solution. See it, understand it, then turn away from it. Second, ask the master question. Make "what can I do now" your automatic, conditioned response to any challenge. Third, deconstruct the problem. A large problem is paralyzing. The language must shift from the mountain to the stones. You do not climb a mountain. You take a single step and then another. Break the overwhelming challenge down into its smallest actionable components. The problem is not fix the company. The problem is make one more sales call than yesterday. The problem is write one page of the business plan. Speak in the language of the next immediate, manageable step. Fourth, speak in the language of action and ownership. Use "I will" and "we will." Every statement should be a forward-moving commitment. I will contact 3 potential partners. We will redesign the marketing material. This language creates momentum. And finally, articulate the desired outcome. Do not just talk about the steps. Paint a clear, compelling picture of what the solution looks like when achieved. Our goal is to see a 10% increase in customer satisfaction by the end of the quarter, and this is how we will do it. The solution needs a destination. Your words must build the bridge to get there. When you adopt this language, when you become a solution architect, several extraordinary things begin to happen. Personally, your stress levels will plummet. Why? Because stress comes from feeling out of control. It comes from focusing on problems you cannot solve. When you focus all your energy on the actions you can take, that feeling of helplessness evaporates. It is replaced by a feeling of agency, of power. Professionally, you will become one of the most valuable people in any room you enter. The world is filled with problem historians. They are a dime a dozen. The person who, in a moment of crisis, brings calm, clarity, and a focus on the next right action, that person is rare. That person is indispensable. That person is a leader. And this is the natural consequence. This is the perfect transition. When you master the language of solutions, you are, by default, beginning to master the language of leadership. You do not need a title on your business card when you are the one providing direction in the storm. Your language has already given you the role. You become the one people turn to. You become the source of stability. You become the one who inspires action instead of anxiety. And that is the framework we are building, a framework of influence. It begins with this fundamental choice you make at the fork in the road. Will you walk the crowded path of the problem, or will you choose the disciplined, powerful path of the solution? Choose wisely, for that choice, made over and over again every single day, is the choice that will build your future. It is the language that transforms an ordinary person into a leader. And that brings us to our next critical subject, mastering the language of leadership and authority. So, we have established a fundamental law. In any room, in any crisis, in any meeting, when chaos descends and the chorus of complaint and blame begins to rise, the person who calmly, deliberately, and consistently speaks the language of solutions, that person begins to accumulate a unique form of power. It is a quiet power. It is an earned power. It is the power of influence. And influence, my friends, is the very essence of leadership. Let us be very clear on this point. Leadership is not a title on a door. It is not a position on an organizational chart. It is not granted by a diploma or a certificate. True leadership is the natural consequence of who you have chosen to become, and true authority is the respect that is willingly given to you by others because of the strength, the certainty, and the clarity you project. You do not need to ask for it. You do not need to demand it. When you have done the inner work, when you have built your fortress of certainty, when you speak the language of progress, people will naturally turn to you for direction. They will look to you for the signal. You become the lighthouse in their fog. And the tool you will use to guide that ship, the primary instrument of the leader, is your language. Your words are the currency of your influence. Weak words purchase weak results. Powerful words build empires. So, how does a leader speak? What is the nature of this language of authority? It is not about volume. You do not need to shout. It is not about aggression. You do not need to dominate. The language of true authority is built upon two unshakable twin pillars. I want you to write them down, for we will spend our time today constructing them in your mind. Pillar number one, the pillar of clarity. Pillar number two, the pillar of conviction. Clarity and conviction, the art of being understood and the art of being believed. Let us begin with the first. Ambiguity is the enemy of action. If your team, your family, or even your own mind is confused about the objective, the result will be hesitation, wasted effort, and ultimately failure. The first responsibility of a leader is to cut through the fog, to provide a clear, unmistakable signal. Many people mistake complexity for intelligence. They use big words, long sentences, and abstract concepts, believing it makes them sound important. This is a sign of insecurity. It takes a genius to make the complex simple. True authority lies in the ability to distill a complicated situation down to its powerful, understandable essence. Clarity is a discipline, and it has three primary components. The first is simplicity. Speak in a way that a child could understand the objective, and a scholar would admire the elegance of your thought. Do not try to impress, try to communicate. The goal of your language is not to showcase your vocabulary. The goal is to inspire action. Before you enter a meeting, before you have an important conversation, ask yourself this: what is the one single thing I want this person to know, feel, or do when I am finished? And then build your entire communication around that single, simple point. The second component of clarity is brevity. Use fewer words. The insecure mind speaks in paragraphs. The certain mind speaks in sentences. We live in a world of noise and distraction. Your ability to deliver a powerful message concisely is a form of respect. It shows that you value the other person's time and attention. It shows that you have done the work of refining your thoughts. Do not wander. Do not ramble. Make your point and make it well. The silence that follows a powerful, concise statement is often more impactful than any words that could follow it. Practice the art of the meaningful pause. The third component of clarity is specificity. Vague goals produce vague results. The language of a leader is never vague. A weak leader says, let's try to do better next quarter. What does that mean? How can anyone act on that? A true leader speaks with specificity. They say, our revenue was 1 million this quarter. Our goal for next quarter is 1.2 million. This represents a 20% increase. To achieve this, we will focus on 3 specific actions. 1, every salesperson will increase their daily outreach calls from 15 to 20. 2, we will launch the new email marketing campaign on October 15th. 3, we will improve our customer follow-up response time to under 12 hours. Are there any questions on these 3 specific points? Do you see the difference? That is clarity. It is a plan. It is a set of instructions for the subconscious mind. It is a roadmap to a specific destination. When you speak with this level of clarity, you eliminate confusion and replace it with the confidence of a clear path forward. Now, clarity is the mechanics. It ensures the message is received by the mind, but that is only half of the equation. To truly lead, to truly inspire, you must master the second pillar. Conviction is the energy behind the words. It is the art of being believed. Clarity gets the idea into their head. Conviction gets it into their heart. It is the emotional transfer of your own certainty. So where does this conviction come from? You cannot fake it, not for long. People have a built-in radar for inauthenticity. True conviction is not a performance, it is a broadcast of your inner state. It is the natural result of the work we have already discussed. It comes first and foremost from your certainty. It is born from your inner fortress. You speak with conviction because you have done the preparation. You know your subject. You speak with conviction because you have the proof. You have a track record with yourself of getting things done. You speak with conviction because you are aligned with your purpose. You believe in the why behind your words. When you speak from this place, your words are not hollow. They are dense with the weight of your own belief. Conviction is also transmitted through channels beyond the words themselves. First, your tone of voice. Authority is not conveyed through shouting. Shouting is a sign of lost control. True authority is conveyed through a tone that is steady, measured, resonant, and grounded. It is a calm tone, even in a storm. It is the voice of the pilot who gets on the intercom during turbulence and calmly says, "We are experiencing some rough air. Please return to your seats. We will be through it shortly." That tone is more reassuring than 1,000 loud, panicked words. You must train your voice to be an instrument of your certainty. Second, your body language. Your physical presence must endorse your verbal message. If you tell your team, "I am absolutely confident in our new direction," but your shoulders are slumped, your arms are crossed, and you are avoiding eye contact, which message do they believe? Your body, a leader stands tall, they take up space, they make direct, unwavering eye contact. Their gestures are purposeful, not frantic. Your body language must say, "I am here, I am present, I am certain." And third, a powerful and often overlooked channel of conviction is your comfort with silence. The power of the pause. An insecure person is terrified of silence. They rush to fill every empty space with noise, with filler words. You know, this is the sound of an uncertain mind. A person of deep conviction is not afraid of the pause. They use it. They make a powerful statement and then they stop. They let the words land. They let the weight of the idea settle in the room. That silence amplifies the statement that came before it. It says, "What I have just said is important. It deserves your consideration." Mastering the pause is mastering a key art of authority. And this brings us to a critical enemy of conviction, hesitation. In our last session, we discussed the danger of hesitation. It is the conviction killer. In any group, the person who speaks first with clarity and conviction often sets the frame for the entire conversation. Leadership often means having the courage to speak when others are silent, to offer a direction when others are waiting. You must overcome the fear of being wrong. A leader would rather make a decision and be proven wrong, at which point they can correct the course, than to make no decision at all. Indecision is a slow death. Hesitation communicates doubt. The language of leadership is decisive. You must train yourself, when the moment arrives, to step in and speak up. So, we have the twin pillars, clarity and conviction. The language of being understood and the language of being believed. But we must add a final, crucial point. This language of authority comes with a profound responsibility. The purpose of this language is not to dominate, to intimidate, or to serve your own ego. That is the path of the tyrant, not the leader. The true purpose of authoritative language is to serve. It is to serve the mission by providing clear direction. It is to serve your people by inspiring them with a vision of what is possible. It is to serve the truth by speaking with honesty and integrity. The authority you build is a trust, and it must be wielded with wisdom and care. And here is the beautiful paradox, the highest form of leadership, the greatest display of authority, is often found in the ability to listen. A true leader uses their clarity and conviction to frame the conversation, to set the direction, and then they create the space for others to contribute their genius. They are not afraid of being challenged because their certainty is not brittle. It is strong enough to withstand scrutiny. This is what separates a leader from a boss. A boss speaks, a leader speaks, and then listens. And this understanding, this recognition that your growth as a leader is directly tied to your ability to learn from others, brings us to the next essential skill of the architect. Now that we have learned to speak the language of leadership, we must learn to master the art of turning every single human interaction into a classroom. We must now explore the discipline of turning every conversation into a growth opportunity. We are about halfway through our time together, and we have laid a powerful foundation. We have discussed the inner world of words and the outer framework of communication. If these ideas are resonating with you, if you are feeling a shift in your own perspective, I would invite you to become a part of this community. Take a moment to subscribe to this channel. By doing so, you are not just clicking a button. You are making a commitment to your own personal growth, a commitment to studying the ideas that lead to a life of success and fulfillment. We have much more to cover, so subscribe and let's continue building this architecture together. So, we have established the language of the architect in the outside world, a language of solutions, a language of leadership built upon the twin pillars of clarity and conviction. This is the language you use to project your vision, to guide your team, to set the course. It is the language of speaking. But now we must address the other side of that coin. For the wisest leader, the most effective architect, knows a profound secret. Your growth is not determined by how well you speak, but by how well you listen. Your influence is not just in the statements you make, but in the questions you ask. The world is a university. Every single person you meet, from the chairman of the board to the person who serves you coffee, is a professor in a subject you know little about, their own life, their own experience, their own unique perspective. Every conversation, therefore, is a classroom. Every interaction is a lecture. The question is, are you enrolled or are you absent? The tragedy is that most people go through life absent. They engage in conversations, but they are not truly present. They are waiting for their turn to speak. They are not listening. They are reloading. They are preparing their own story, their own rebuttal, their own clever response. They are what I call transmitters. Their primary function in a conversation is to broadcast their own signal. But the architect, the person committed to building a masterpiece life, must adopt a different mindset. You must become a growth seeker. A growth seeker enters every conversation with a primary burning objective: to leave that interaction wiser, more knowledgeable, and with a broader perspective than when they entered. This shift from transmitter to growth seeker is one of the most significant you will ever make. It is the decision to become a lifelong learner and to see all of humanity as your faculty. So how do we do this? How do we transform every mundane conversation into a masterclass in personal development? It is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of discipline. There are 4 disciplines of conversational growth. I want you to write them down, for they will become your new method of engagement with the world. Discipline number 1, the art of deep listening, hearing the unspoken. Discipline number 2, the art of powerful questioning, unlocking the vault. Discipline number 3, the art of constructive contribution, planting a seed. Discipline number 4, the art of post-conversation reflection, harvesting the wisdom. Let us begin with the foundation of it all, the art of deep listening. We are taught from a young age to speak, to present, to argue, but we are rarely taught how to truly listen. There are, as I see it, 3 levels of listening, and most people never get past the first. Level 1 is what I call internal listening. This is the most common form. You are hearing the other person's words, but your primary focus is on your own inner world. You are thinking, what does this mean to me? Do I agree or disagree? What story of mine does this remind me of? Okay, they are about to finish. Here is what I am going to say next. You are hearing, but you are not receiving. You are a transmitter waiting for your slot. Level 2 is focused listening. This is a step up. At this level, you are genuinely focused on the content of what the other person is saying. You are trying to understand their points, to follow their logic. You can accurately paraphrase what they have said. Most people would call this good listening, and it is. But it is not the highest level. Level 3 is deep listening. This is the art of the growth seeker. At this level, you are not only hearing their words and understanding their content, but you are also perceiving everything else. You are listening for the emotion behind the words. Is there excitement, fear, hesitation? You are observing their body language. You are sensing their energy. You are listening for what is not being said. You are trying to understand the values, the beliefs, the experiences that have shaped their words. When you practice deep listening, you are not just receiving data. You are receiving a worldview. You are stepping out of your own shoes and for a moment standing in theirs. The goal of deep listening is not to reply. The goal is to understand, and from that deep understanding, true wisdom is born. The practical exercise is this: in your next important conversation, make it your sole mission to understand the other person's perspective so well that you could argue their case for them to their complete satisfaction. Only then have you truly listened. Once you have created the space for understanding through deep listening, you must then move to the second discipline. For listening opens the door, but it is questioning that walks you through it. The art of powerful questioning. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you ask. This is true in your internal dialogue, and it is profoundly true in your external conversations. A weak question elicits a weak answer. A powerful question unlocks a vault of wisdom. A transmitter asks questions to be polite. How are you? Or to gather data, did you finish the report? A growth seeker asks questions to explore, to challenge, and to learn. Your questions are your primary learning tool. Let us explore the hierarchy of powerful questions. First, there are clarifying questions. These are the tools you use to ensure you are building on a solid foundation of understanding. When you say the project was difficult, what was the single most challenging aspect of it for you? You mentioned we need to be more strategic. What does that word strategic look like in terms of action? These questions cut through vague language and get to the heart of the matter. Second, there are probing questions. These are the questions you use to dig deeper. They invite the other person to reflect on their own experience. What was the thought process behind that decision? What were the consequences, both expected and unexpected? If you could go back, what would you do differently? These questions are not an interrogation. They are an invitation to share wisdom. Third, there are visionary questions. These are the questions that lift the conversation out of the present and into the realm of possibility. If we had unlimited resources and no fear of failure, what would we attempt to do? What does the ideal outcome look like to you? How can we turn this challenge into our greatest opportunity? These questions create energy and unlock creativity in both you and the person you are speaking with. And finally, there are reflective questions. These are the questions that turn experience into wisdom. What did that entire experience teach you about yourself? What is the single biggest lesson you are taking away from this? When you ask someone a reflective question, you are giving them a gift. You are prompting them to find the wisdom in their own story, and you get to learn from it as well. Mastering this art of questioning will transform you. You will become known not just as a great conversationalist, but as a person who makes others feel more intelligent, more insightful, and more understood. After you have listened deeply and questioned powerfully, the time will come for you to contribute. And this is the third discipline, the art of constructive contribution. Growth is a two-way street. You are there to learn, but you are also there to add value. However, a transmitter contributes by correcting, by arguing, by trying to win the point. A growth seeker contributes in a way that builds upon the conversation rather than tearing it down. The first principle of constructive contribution is to replace the language of disagreement with the language of addition. The phrase "no but" or "yes but" is a verbal wall. It dismisses what the other person has said. I want you to replace it with the phrase "yes and." Yes and is a bridge. It validates the other person's point. Yes, I hear you. I understand that perspective. And then allows you to add your own. And what I have also found is that this simple shift changes the dynamic from a debate to a creative collaboration. You are no longer opponents, you are partners in building a more complete understanding. The second part of this discipline is learning to offer feedback as a gift, not as a weapon. In your role as a leader, a parent, a friend, you will have opportunities to help others see a blind spot. Do not say you are wrong. Say, can I offer a different perspective? Do not say that will never work. Say, an obstacle we might need to consider is X. How could we overcome that? Your contribution should be like planting a seed, not throwing a stone. It is offered with the genuine intention of helping something grow. And this brings us to the final discipline, the one that is most often neglected, and yet it is the one that solidifies all the growth, the art of post-conversation reflection. The lesson is not always learned in the classroom. It is often learned on the walk home when you have time to think about what was said. The growth from a conversation does not always happen in the moment. It is cemented after the moment. I want you to develop a new habit. I call it the 5-minute harvest. After any significant conversation, a meeting, a talk with a mentor, even a challenging discussion with a loved one, take 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. As soon as you can. Open your journal and ask yourself 3 harvest questions. Question 1, what was the most valuable idea or piece of information I learned? This harvests knowledge. Question 2, what did I learn about the other person's world, their perspective, or their values? This harvests empathy. Question 3, what is one specific action I can take or one thing I can do differently based on this conversation? This harvests action. Just 5 minutes. But if you do this consistently, you will extract more wisdom from your daily interactions than most people do in a lifetime. You will stop having conversations that are forgotten the next day, and you will start having conversations that shape the person you are becoming. These are the 4 disciplines: deep listening, powerful questioning, constructive contribution, and post-conversation reflection. When you master these, you transform yourself into a perpetual growth machine. Every human interaction becomes a source of fuel for your development. You have now completed the framework of your architecture. Your inner fortress of certainty is strong, and your outer framework of engagement with the world is now intelligent, influential, and designed for maximum growth. And now that this solid, intelligent structure is in place, you are finally ready to turn your attention to the heavens. You are ready to design the spires. You are ready to draw the grand blueprint for the future you intend to create. And that brings us to the final and most exciting part of our work together today. We are now ready to master the blueprint, the visionary language of your future. So, we have come a long way on this journey together. We have done the foundational work. We have cleared the mind of the weeds of doubt and built an inner fortress of unshakable certainty. We have constructed the framework of our outer communication, a framework of solutions, of leadership, and of perpetual growth. The foundation is solid, the framework is strong, the structure is sound, and now we arrive at the work that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. This is the work that frightens most, but rewards the few who dare to undertake it. We must now lift our gaze. For the last while, we have been focused on the ground beneath our feet, on the stones we are laying, on the walls we are building. But an architect who only ever looks down will only ever build a bungalow. To build a cathedral, the architect must spend an equal amount of time with their eyes turned to the heavens. We must now learn to draw the blueprint. We must now master the discipline of thinking big and the art of speaking with vision. Let us first address this idea of thinking big. It is a phrase that is often misunderstood. For many, thinking big is synonymous with idle daydreaming, fantasizing, wishing upon a star. That is not what we are here to discuss. Daydreaming is a passive activity. It requires no effort. The kind of thinking big that builds empires and crafts masterpiece lives is a discipline. It is the disciplined, conscious act of looking at potential rather than just at current reality. You must understand, every one of us lives in 2 worlds simultaneously. The first world is your current reality. This is the world of facts and figures. It is the number in your bank account today. It is your current job title. It is the state of your health right now. It is the set of problems currently on your desk. This world is tangible, it is measurable, and for most people, it is the only world they inhabit. They are citizens of their circumstances. But there is another world, an invisible world, that is just as real. This is your potential reality. This is the world of what is possible for you. It is the person you are capable of becoming. It is the enterprise you are capable of building. It is the health you are capable of enjoying. It is the legacy you are capable of leaving. The great tragedy of life is that the vast majority of people live and die as permanent citizens of their current reality, never even applying for a visa to their potential reality. The visionary, the architect of a great life, learns to become a citizen of both worlds. They acknowledge their current reality without being imprisoned by it. They pay their bills, they deal with the challenges of the day, but they spend a significant portion of their mental and emotional time living in their potential reality. They draw their energy, their motivation, and their direction from the future they are creating, not the past they have experienced. This is the first great discipline. You must escape the tyranny of the now. Your past does not equal your future unless you choose to live there. Your current circumstances are not your life. They are merely the starting point for this season. So how do we train ourselves to do this? How do we become fluent in the language of potential reality? It begins with a scheduled, disciplined practice. I call it the discipline of future living. Just as you schedule a business meeting or a workout, you must schedule time to mentally inhabit your future. Perhaps it is 15 minutes every morning before the noise of the day begins. During this time, you do not hope for the future. You do not wish for the future. You mentally live in it. You close your eyes and you walk around in the life you are building. What does your day look like 5 years from now? What is the first thing you do when you wake up? Who are you having breakfast with? What is the nature of the work you are engaged in? What challenges are you solving? What contributions are you making? How do you feel in your body? What is the quality of your relationships? You must make this future so real, so vivid, so detailed in your mind that your current reality starts to feel like the temporary phase that it is. When you do this consistently, a strange and powerful thing happens. Your brain, which cannot distinguish between a real experience and a vividly imagined one, begins to accept this future as your new normal. And it will begin to creatively close the gap between where you are and where you are mentally living. The second mechanic of thinking big is to deliberately expand your associations in your environment. The ceiling of your thinking is often determined by the room you are in. If you are the biggest thinker in the room, you are in the wrong room. You cannot think million-dollar thoughts while exclusively engaging in $100 conversations. You must seek out bigger thinkers. Read the books of the great leaders and philosophers. Listen to the ideas that stretch your mind. Your income, your health, and your attitude are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. The same is true for the size of your thoughts. If you want to expand your vision, you must expand your circle. And here is a powerful exercise for you. The most powerful I know for making a vision tangible: take out your journal, and I want you to write a chapter of your autobiography. But you will write it from the perspective of you 10 years from now. The chapter is titled "The Decade That Changed Everything." In that chapter, describe the person you have become. Describe the key decisions you made. Describe the challenges you overcame and the lessons you learned. Describe the businesses you built, the relationships you nurtured, the impact you made. Write it in the past tense, as if it has already happened. This exercise forces your mind to move beyond vague dreams and construct a detailed, logical narrative of success. It forces you to draw the blueprint. Now, it is a fine thing to have a powerful, expansive vision inside your own mind. But a blueprint that is kept locked in the architect's office builds nothing. The vision must be expressed. It must be spoken. This is the bridge. This is the second half of our work today, speaking with vision. Why must you speak it? Because a thought is an ethereal energy. A spoken word is the first act of physical creation. It takes the blueprint from the invisible realm of the mind and gives it form in the audible physical world. Your words are the building blocks of your reality. I want you to listen to the conversations around you and listen to your own. You will find that people are constantly describing and reinforcing their current reality. Their conversations are a litany of their problems, their frustrations, their limitations. Traffic was terrible this morning. My boss is so demanding. I'm so tired. I can't wait for the weekend. This is the language of a prisoner of circumstance. The visionary speaks a different language. The visionary's conversation is a broadcast from their potential reality. They speak of the future they are building. They speak of the opportunities they are creating. They speak of the person they are becoming. When someone asks a visionary what they are working on, they do not just list their tasks, they articulate their mission. The person stuck in current reality says, I'm a software coder. The visionary says, I am part of a team that is building an application that will change how people manage their health. The person stuck in current reality says, I sell insurance. The visionary says, I help families build a wall of financial protection around their future. Do you feel a difference? One is a job description, the other is a declaration of purpose. One is a task, the other is a mission. When you speak with vision, you must learn to speak of the oak tree, not the acorn. The acorn is your current reality. It is small, it is seemingly insignificant. But inside that acorn is the blueprint for a magnificent oak tree. That is your potential reality. When you talk about your new business, your new project, your child's future, do not describe the small seed. Describe the mighty tree you are nurturing. Paint a picture of its potential so compelling that others can see it too. And this is the magic of speaking with vision. It is magnetic. People are not inspired by your problems. They are not attracted to your complaints. They are drawn to your vision. When you speak with passion, with clarity, and with conviction about the future you are creating, you become a source of energy. The right people, the right partners, the right mentors, the right clients will be drawn into your orbit. Opportunities will begin to appear, not by chance, but because your visionary language is a beacon signaling to the world where you are going. But there is a critical caution we must address. A vision that is not tethered to the ground by discipline is a mere fantasy. It is delusion. Your grand visionary words must be backed by your humble, daily, consistent actions. You cannot speak of building an empire in the morning and then spend your evening in idle distraction. The world will not be fooled for long. Your actions must always be the ultimate proof of your word. The vision you speak provides the direction, but it is your discipline that provides the drive. The vision is the why. The discipline is the how. A true visionary holds both in perfect balance. They have their head in the clouds, designing the future, but their feet are firmly planted on the ground, doing the work of today. The ultimate goal is to close the gap, to work so diligently, so intelligently, so consistently, that your current reality and your spoken vision merge until they are one and the same. You do not just speak the vision, you become the visionary. And when you have trained your mind to think in decades, not just in days, when you have disciplined your tongue to speak the language of potential, not just the language of problems, when you have learned to be the architect who draws a magnificent blueprint, you are then ready for the final and most potent linguistic tool of the architect. You are ready to move from speaking about the future to speaking from the future. You are now prepared to master the art of speaking your goals like they are already real. And so we arrive at the pinnacle of our work together. We have journeyed far. We have cleared the land of doubt. We have built a fortress of certainty. We have constructed a framework of influence. We have learned to lift our gaze and draw a blueprint for a future that excites the soul. We have learned to think big. We have learned to speak about that future with vision, to paint a compelling picture of the magnificent oak tree that will grow from our small acorn. But now we must take the final step. It is the most challenging step. It is the most powerful step. It is the step that separates the dreamer from the creator. We must now learn to move from speaking about the future to speaking from the future. This is the final and most potent linguistic tool of the architect. This is the discipline of speaking about your goals as if they are already real. Now, on the surface, this may sound strange. It may even sound like a form of self-deception. But I want you to stay with me, because what I am about to share with you is not a trick of the mind. It is a fundamental law of creation. Let us first understand why this principle is so powerful. Your subconscious mind, the vast, powerful, silent partner in your life's enterprise, is a loyal and obedient servant. But it is also a very literal servant. It does not possess a sense of humor. It does not distinguish between a vividly imagined reality and your current physical reality. It takes its instructions from your dominant thoughts, your deepest beliefs, and, most importantly, from the words you speak with emotional conviction. Your words are the programming language for this incredible internal computer. And for most of your life, you may have been using a programming language of lack, of longing, of distance. Let us examine the anatomy of this language. The language of the masses. It is the language of I want, I hope, I'm trying. I want to be wealthy. What is the unspoken message in that statement? The message is, I am not currently wealthy. You are programming your mind with the reality of not having. You are focused on the gap between you and your desire. I hope I get the promotion. As we have discussed, hope is a passive wish. The message is, my success is outside of my control. You are programming your mind with a sense of powerlessness. I'm trying to be a disciplined person. The message is, I am currently an undisciplined person engaged in a struggle that I may or may not win. You are programming your mind with the identity of the struggler. This is the language of striving. And while striving is noble, it is an energy of perpetual motion without arrival. The architect in this final stage must adopt a new master-level language. It is the language of I am. It is the language of I have. It is the language of being. You must shift from describing what you want to declaring who you are. Let us see this transformation in every area of life. Under the language of lack, in the area of finances, we hear, I want to be financially free. Under the language of being, you make a declaration, I am a financially free person, and I am currently managing the assets and opportunities that align with that identity. Do you feel the shift? The first is a wish. The second is an identity. In the area of health, the language of lack says, I need to lose 20 pounds. The language of being declares, I am a healthy, energetic person who makes nourishing choices and enjoys the vitality of my body. You are no longer a person defined by the weight you need to lose. You are a person defined by the health you currently inhabit. In the area of your career or business, the language of lack says, I hope my business succeeds. The language of being declares, my business is a successful enterprise that consistently adds massive value to our clients, and we are expanding our reach every single day. This is not a game of semantics. This is you, the architect, picking up the most powerful tool you own, your word, and using it to sign the completion certificate for your own future here in the present moment. But then the logical mind rebels. The inner critic, the voice of your current reality, screams out, but this is a lie. Look at your bank account. Look at the scale. Look at your sales figures. You are not that person yet. And this is where we must make the most important distinction of all. You are not lying about your present facts. You are speaking a deeper truth about your chosen identity and your inevitable destiny. You are the architect, not the journalist. A journalist's job is to report on what is. To describe the current reality, an architect's job is to draw the blueprint of what will be. The architect draws the magnificent skyscraper in intricate detail long before the first shovel of dirt is ever moved. Is the architect a liar? No. The architect is a creator. You must stop being a journalist of your own life, constantly reporting on your problems and limitations. And you must start being the architect, constantly describing the magnificent structure you are in the process of building. You must learn to live from the end. What does this mean, to live from the end? It means you must align not just your words, but your actions, your decisions, and your energy with the reality you have declared. This is the integrity test. This is what separates this discipline from mere wishful thinking. When you declare, I am a disciplined person, the universe will immediately present you with a test. The alarm clock will ring at 5 a.m. The choice to hit the snooze button or to rise will be placed before you. In that moment, your action is a vote. Are you voting for your old identity or your new one? When you declare, I am a patient and understanding parent, your child will inevitably test that patience. In that moment of frustration, your response is a vote. Are you voting for the old script or the new one? This principle gives you a powerful new filter for decision making. In any situation, you can simply ask yourself a profound question: what would the version of me who has already achieved this goal do in this situation? Would the multimillionaire version of you skip the important meeting because they don't feel like it? No. So you go to the meeting. Would the world-class athlete version of you eat the junk food? No. So you choose the nourishing meal. Would the best-selling author version of you spend the evening watching television instead of writing the next chapter? No. So you sit down and you write. Do you see? You stop making decisions based on your current feelings or circumstances. You start making decisions based on your declared identity. You begin to act as if you are already that person. And through that consistent action, the physical world has no choice but to rearrange itself to match your inner conviction. This is how you close the gap. And what happens when you do this? Your entire energetic signature changes. The way you walk, the way you talk, the way you carry yourself. You are no longer projecting the energy of wanting and needing. You are projecting the energy of having and being. And this energy is magnetic. People are not just responding to your words, they are responding to your state of being. They feel your certainty. They sense your purpose. You are no longer just talking about your vision. You are the walking, talking embodiment of your vision in progress. Opportunities, people, and resources will be drawn to that energy, not because of some strange magic, but because confidence and clarity are attractive. Success, you see, is attracted to the person who is already acting like a success. This discipline also creates the most powerful form of accountability. When you keep your goals to yourself as a distant hope, there is no social consequence for inaction. But when you look a respected colleague in the eye and say, I am writing a book that will be published by next year, you have just created a powerful contract with the world and with yourself. You have put your integrity on the line. You have raised the stakes, and this is a powerful motivator to ensure your actions align with your declaration. So let us revisit the objection. Am I not lying? Let me ask you this. When a seed is planted in the ground, is it an oak tree? No, not yet. But does it contain the complete, perfect blueprint of the oak tree within it? Yes. Is its destiny to become an oak tree? Yes. When you speak your goal as if it is already real, you are not lying. You are simply speaking from the perspective of the blueprint within you. You are aligning yourself with the truth of your own potential. You are speaking for the oak tree, not for the acorn. This is the final key of the architect. It is the understanding that the blueprint and the building are one. The thought, the word, and the action must become a single, unified, unstoppable force. When you master this final principle, the entire architecture is complete. Your inner world and your outer world begin to merge. You stop chasing success and you start attracting it. You stop building your future, you start living it into existence. One declaration, one decision, one action at a time. The blueprint is no longer just a drawing on a page. The foundation is no longer just a slab of concrete. The framework is no longer just beams and pillars. The architect, the blueprint, and the building have become one. And this, my friends, brings us to our final reflections on this entire architectural process and the life you are now empowered to build. We have journeyed to the highest peaks of our architectural process. We have learned to clear the land of doubt, to build an inner fortress of certainty, to construct a framework of influence, and to draw a blueprint of a magnificent future, speaking it into existence as if it were already real. These are the tools. This is the science of achievement. But even the most skilled architect, with the most brilliant blueprint, must respect the laws of nature. You cannot build a skyscraper in a hurricane. You cannot pour a foundation in a frozen tundra. The architect must understand the environment. They must understand the cycles. They must understand the seasons. And this, my friends, is the final piece of the puzzle I wish to share with you today. It is not a technique, but a philosophy. It is a guiding map that will allow you to apply all the other tools we have discussed with wisdom and timing. It is the philosophy of the 4 seasons of life. Life is not a straight linear path. It is not an endless summer. Anyone who promises you that is selling you a fantasy. Life is a cycle. It has its rhythms, its patterns, its predictable, repeating seasons. There are times of great opportunity, and there are times of great difficulty. The amateur, the person who lives a life of quiet desperation, is a victim of the seasons. They celebrate the summer and curse the winter. They are tossed about by the changing weather, never understanding why. The architect, the master of their destiny, is a student of the seasons. They do not fight the seasons. They do not wish it were summer in the dead of winter. That is a fool's game. Instead, they learn to understand the unique challenges and, more importantly, the unique opportunities that each season presents. They learn to leverage the seasons. And the most powerful truth of all is this: you cannot change the seasons, but you can change yourself. And by changing yourself, you change your results within each season. So let us walk through this timeless rhythm together. For if you can understand this, you will have a philosophical compass for the rest of your days. You take a position on the stage that feels thoughtful, like a storyteller beginning a grand tale. First, there is winter. Winter is inevitable. There will be winters in your life. There will be personal winters when your heart is heavy with loss or disappointment. There will be economic winters when the marketplace is cold and unforgiving and the winds of recession blow hard. There will be professional winters when a project fails, a promotion is denied, or your business struggles. The ground is hard, the nights are long, nothing seems to be growing. This is the reality of winter. Now, what does the amateur do in winter? They complain, they curse the cold, they blame the weather. They huddle in a corner, shivering, wishing, hoping for spring to magically arrive. They say, if only it were not winter. This is a tragic waste of a powerful season. The architect, the wise student of life, understands the unique work of winter. Winter is not a time for planting in the outside world. The ground is not ready. But it is the prime season for planting in your inner world. Winter is the season to get stronger. Winter is the season to get wiser. This is the time you return to the work of the foundation. When the world outside is barren, you must cultivate the garden of your mind. This is the time to read the books you have been putting off, to take the courses, to study the lives of great individuals, to reflect on your own past seasons, your successes and your failures, and extract the lessons. This is when you work on your unshakable certainty. You use the quiet of winter to engage in the pillar of preparation. You sharpen your skills. You refine your plans. You get so incredibly good at your craft that when spring arrives, you will be in the top 5% of those ready to act. Winter is also the time to fortify your relationships, to spend time with the people who matter, to build the emotional shelters that will protect you in any storm. Do not curse the winter. Leverage the winter. For the strength you build in the cold is the very strength that will allow you to plow the fields in the spring. How you handle your winters will determine the magnificence of your entire year. For after the cold comes the thaw, and then comes spring. Spring is the season of opportunity. The ice melts, the ground softens, the world is reborn with possibility. A new job offer appears. You have a brilliant idea for a new business. The market begins to turn. This is the season of enterprise. And here lies the great danger of spring. What do many people do? They are so relieved that the hardship of winter is over, they take a vacation. They are so intoxicated by the first warm breezes of opportunity that they become complacent. They say, things are finally looking up, and they sit back. This is a fatal error. To be casual in the spring is to guarantee a meager fall. The architect understands that spring is the season for massive, disciplined action. This is the time to take all the plans you made in winter and execute them with a sense of urgency. This is the time for planting seeds. You must be in the field from dawn until dusk. This is when you use the language of solutions. You do not have time for problems. You are too busy planting. You must make the calls. You must start the venture. You must have the difficult conversation. You must invest your time, your energy, and your resources. This is the season to embrace calculated risk. You cannot have a harvest in the fall if you are unwilling to let go of the seed in the spring. You must have the faith to put something of value into the ground. This is also the season to speak with vision. When you are planting a small seed, you must talk about the magnificent forest you are creating. Your enthusiasm, your energy, your belief in the coming harvest, this is what attracts others to join you in the field. Your vision waters the very seeds you are planting. Do not be lazy in the spring. Every moment of opportunity in the spring is precious. Work with intensity, for the planting season is finite. After you have planted comes summer. In the summer, the sun is high and the days are long. Your seeds have sprouted. Growth is happening. From the outside, it may look like a time of ease, but the architect knows that summer has its own unique and demanding work. Summer is the season of protection and persistence. For with the sun and the growth also come the challenges. The heat becomes intense. This is the pressure to perform. The weeds begin to grow. These are the distractions, the negative voices, the small daily annoyances that seek to choke your progress. And the pests appear. These are the critics, the competitors, the unexpected problems that try to devour your fragile crops. What does the amateur do in the summer? They neglect the field. They planted in the spring, and they now expect the harvest to happen automatically. They are surprised when they return in the fall to find their field overgrown with weeds and their crops devoured. The architect understands the work of summer. It is a season for tireless cultivation. You must show up every single day to pull the weeds. This is the daily discipline of rejecting self-doubt. This is the work of protecting your mindset from the negativity of others. You must also diligently water your crops. This means continuing to invest in yourself and your projects. You must nurture your growing enterprise, your developing skills, your key relationships. You must protect what you have started. Summer is the great test of your faith and your certainty. You are working hard day in and day out, often under intense pressure, but the full harvest is not yet visible. You must trust the process. You must have the persistence to keep going, even when you are tired, even when the results are not yet apparent. You must have the conviction of the farmer who tends his fields under the hot sun, knowing that the fall will surely come. And if you have been wise in winter, diligent in spring, and persistent in summer, then you will surely arrive at the most rewarding season of all, fall. Fall is the harvest. The rewards of your labor have come to fruition. The business is profitable. The promotion is achieved. The relationship is strong. The goal is accomplished. This is the season of celebration, of gratitude, of enjoying the bounty you have created. And in the fall, the architect has two profound responsibilities. The first responsibility is to reap without apology. You have done the work. You have earned the reward. You must take it in. Celebrate your success. Enjoy the fruits of your labor. Do not be so falsely humble that you fail to acknowledge your own achievement. This is your reward. It is the proof that the philosophy works. But there is a second and equally important responsibility. You must reap with wisdom. The amateur in the fall consumes their entire harvest. They have a great feast and they leave nothing behind. And when the inevitable winter arrives again, they find themselves with empty barns and nothing to plant for the next spring. The wise architect, the true student of the seasons, enjoys the harvest. But they also know that a portion of that harvest contains the seeds for the next cycle. They take their best crops, their best ideas, their profits, their new knowledge, and they set them aside. They reinvest. They save a portion of their success to carry them through the coming winter and to plant in the next spring. They do not see success as a destination. They see it as part of a cycle. And so the rhythm continues. After the harvest of fall, what comes next? Winter. But this time, it is not a surprise. It is not a tragedy. It is simply the next season. And you arrive at this new winter, stronger, wiser, and better prepared than the last, carrying the seeds of your previous success. This, my friends, is the guiding philosophy. It is the great map of life's rhythm. When you are in a winter, do not despair. Know that your work is to study and prepare. When you are in a spring, do not hesitate. Know that your work is to act. When you are in a summer, do not become complacent. Know that your work is to protect and persist. And when you are in a fall, do not be foolish. Reap your rewards with both celebration and wisdom. With this map in hand, you are no longer a victim of the world's weather. You are the wise architect who knows how to build, how to grow, and how to harvest in every season of your life. And with this philosophy to guide you, we are now ready for our final reflections. And so our journey together for today comes to a close. We have traveled a vast intellectual and philosophical landscape. We began with a simple question: what makes the difference? What makes the difference between the ship that finds its harbor and the one that is lost to the sea? And we discovered the answer was not in the blowing of the wind, but in the set of the sail, the set of our personal philosophy. For the last several hours, we have been engaged in the work of the architect. We have been learning the principles of designing and constructing a masterpiece life. I want to ask you now to take one final walk with me, to look back at the magnificent structure we have designed on paper. Before I send you out into the world to begin the real work of building it, let us review the architecture. We began with the most critical work of all, the foundation. We understood that before any great life can be built, the ground must be cleared. We waged a revolution against the inner tyrant of self-doubt. We learned to identify and systematically eliminate the weak, poisonous words that have held us captive, words like try and hope and maybe. And on that cleared land, we laid the three great pillars of a fortress of the mind, the pillars of preparation, proof, and purpose. We learned that unshakable certainty is not a gift, but a structure that we build, brick by brick, promise by promise, until it is strong enough to withstand any storm. This was our inner construction, the work done in the quiet of our own minds, hidden from the world, but essential to everything that would follow. Then we began to build the visible framework. We learned that our inner certainty must be projected outward with skill and intention. We learned to speak the language of the architect, the language of solutions, not problems. We chose at that great fork in the road to turn our backs on the analysis of misery and to face the horizon of possibility, armed with the master question: what can I do now? We then constructed the powerful framework of leadership built upon the twin pillars of clarity and conviction. We learned that authority is not a title, but an earned influence forged through language that is simple, brief, specific, and delivered with the full weight of our belief. And we completed that framework with the understanding that the wisest leader is also the most diligent student. We learned the four disciplines of turning every conversation into a growth opportunity, to listen deeply, to question powerfully, to contribute constructively, and to harvest the wisdom from every human interaction. And finally, with our foundation secure and our framework strong, we lifted our gaze to the heavens and we drew the blueprint. We learned the discipline of thinking big, of becoming citizens of our potential reality. And we learned the two most powerful linguistic arts of the Creator: to speak about the future with a vision so compelling it becomes magnetic. And then the final key: to speak from the future, declaring our goals in the language of I am as if they were already real. To govern it all, we were given the great map, the timeless rhythm of the four seasons of life, teaching us when to plant, when to nurture, when to harvest, and when to grow strong in the winters of our lives. It is a magnificent design. It is a blueprint for a cathedral. But as of this moment, it is still only a blueprint. It is ink on paper. It is an idea in your mind. And information alone, my friends, does not produce results. Knowledge that is not acted upon is a dead thing. It is a tragedy. The saddest phrase in the English language may be, "I could have been." And so now, you stand at the most important moment of our entire time together. You are at a crossroads, a moment of decision. Down one path is the comfortable, familiar road. It is the road of fanned. That was an interesting seminar. You will leave here informed, perhaps even momentarily inspired. You will have a notebook full of ideas, and you will place that notebook on a shelf. And within a few days, the powerful gravity of your old habits, your old vocabulary, your old ways of thinking will pull you back into the orbit of your current reality. And this blueprint will become a fading memory of a life you could have lived. But there is another path. It is a more difficult path. It is less traveled. It is the path of decision. It is the path of commitment. It is the path where you leave this room not merely informed, but fundamentally and permanently transformed. The difference between these two paths is a single, powerful, and often misunderstood word. That word is discipline. Discipline is the bridge. It is the bridge between the blueprint in your mind and the masterpiece in your reality. It is the bridge between your goals and your accomplishment. Without that bridge, your dreams will forever remain on one side of the canyon and you on the other, staring across the abyss of your own unfulfilled potential. Now, we often think of discipline as a form of punishment, as something restrictive, unpleasant. But that is a poor person's definition of discipline. The true architect understands discipline for what it is. It is the conscious, deliberate choice to trade immediate, short-term pleasure for ultimate, long-term fulfillment. It is the mature decision to invest rather than to merely spend. And this brings us to the final great choice of life. We must all suffer from one of two pains. You do not have a choice in this. You only have a choice of which pain you will suffer. It is the pain of discipline, or it is the pain of regret. Let us examine these two pains. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. It is the pain of waking up an hour earlier to read, to plan, to prepare for your day. It is the discomfort of making the difficult phone call you have been putting off. It is the strain of doing one more repetition in the gym. It is the small sacrifice of saying no to an immediate pleasure in order to say yes to your future self. It is the diligence required to conduct the 5-minute harvest after a conversation. It is the temporary sting to your ego when you choose to listen instead of speak. This pain is a constructive pain. It is a down payment. It is the temporary discomfort of the planting season. It is heavy, yes, but it weighs ounces. Then there is the other pain, the pain of regret. The pain of regret weighs tons. It is the pain of looking back on your life 5 years, 10 years, 50 years from now and being haunted by the ghost of the person you could have become. It is the heavy, crushing weight of the words, what if? What if I had made the call? What if I had read the book? What if I had started the business? What if I had said, I love you? It is the pain of arriving at the harvest season of your life with empty barns, knowing that you let the springs of opportunity pass you by in idle distraction. It is the pain of unfulfilled potential. It is the pain of knowing you had the blueprint for a cathedral, but you settled for a shack because you were unwilling to pay the small price of discipline. You will choose. Life will make you choose. Ounces today or tons tomorrow. My plea to you, my final and most urgent message, is to choose the ounces. Choose the pain of discipline. For on the other side of that temporary discomfort lies the life you were meant to live. So, how do you begin? The sheer scale of this architecture can feel overwhelming. Do not let it. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. The construction of a cathedral begins with a single stone. Do not try to change everything at once. Choose one discipline, just one. Make a pact with yourself right now before you leave this mental space. Perhaps your one discipline will be the vocabulary audit. For the next 30 days, you will become a warrior against the word try. Perhaps it will be the promise stack. You will start tomorrow with one small, unbreakable promise to yourself. Perhaps it will be the 5-minute harvest. After every significant conversation, you will invest 5 minutes to extract the wisdom. Perhaps it will be the 15 minutes of future living every morning. Choose one and master it. Let that one small discipline be the first stone you lay with intention. For the victory in that one area will give you the confidence, the proof to lay the next stone and the next. I want you to make today, this moment, day one. Not tomorrow, not next Monday, not the new year, now. The person you are going to be in 5 years is determined by the books you read, the people you associate with, and the actions you take starting today. And so, my final call to action is this. If you are committed to this journey, if you are choosing the pain of discipline over the pain of regret, if you are declaring this to be day one of your new architecture, then I invite you one last time to subscribe to this channel. Do not do it for my benefit, do it for yours. Let it be an anchor for your commitment. Let it be a weekly appointment with your own potential. Let it be a constant echo in your life of the profound and powerful decisions that you have made here today. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. It has been an honor to share these ideas with you. You now have the blueprint. You now have the tools. You now understand the principles. The question that remains is the one that only you can answer. What will your masterpiece be?